right, rapid reaction of PJ Hayes committing to Rutgers men's basketball and the program announcing his signing on Wednesday, late in the afternoon, early evening. This episode is brought to you by Knights of the Raritan, the Rutgers NIL Collective. I encourage you to sign up for their free newsletter. The link is in the description of this episode on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube. Knights of the Raritan provides a unique way for athletic programs to be successful in the ever-changing NIL environment. Become a member of Knights of the Raritan for a chance to win giveaways, unique experiences, exclusive invites, and more. And most importantly, help support Rutgers student athletes with NIL. PJ Hayes, long time coming. Rutgers in on him from the beginning when he entered the portal. Brian Fonseca adding in his article today that Marlon Williamson, Smoke Williamson, the Rutgers assistant, called him on the first day he entered the transfer portal. And I really think that that was a huge part of Rutgers ultimately landing PJ Hayes, because it sounds like a lot of big-time programs were getting involved with him late here, but Rutgers was in on him from the beginning. And that's something the coaching staff has always done a really good job of, is identifying talent to fit their needs and being on top of it in terms of targeting prospects that they think are going to help them win. And PJ Hayes right now, he had visited VCU after Rutgers, reported by Richie O'Leary of the Knight Report. I had mentioned last week he had another visit right after Rutgers. So always a little bit of a concern when that happens. The Dayton rival site was reporting that they were targeting Hayes to replace Kobe Bray, who shot 49% from three last year. I saw some chatter from Iowa fans on Discord talking about Peyton Sandfort potentially staying in NBA draft and Iowa targeting Hayes as their ideal replacement for him. There's plenty of schools that were probably talking to this kid. Very different in terms of modern recruiting. He has social media. Nothing was really reported about his, or he wasn't saying much about schools contacting him, all that. There was an initial list early on that was pretty lengthy, but 6'6" transfer out of San Diego, played for Coach Steve Lavin. 1 year after 3 years at Black Hill State, the Division II school, shot 42.5% in 3 years at Black Hill State. Then this past year at San Diego, 39.7 from three on 183 attempts. So what sticks out to me about his game, first of all, he feels a huge need. He's a three-point shooter. He has size. He has length. He has a very quick release, high arcing shot. And something that really sticks out to me about him is he's comfortable in uncomfortable positions. He can get his shot off when he doesn't have a lot of space. If you watch his film, sometimes he's even like sideways, and he's just really good with his body control, able to get into his shot, great fundamentals, great release, really good shooting form, and he could shoot it from everywhere. He made 9 threes from 25 plus feet out, one of the best in the country in terms of shooting threes that far beyond. He was able to just find his spots. He's good with space. He's able to move without the ball, and he just has a knack. I harped on it last year. A lot of the guys on the team just didn't seem like they had a feel for the game. And if you watch Hayes' tape, he really does look like he understands the game. He understands how to get open and put himself in a position to knock down threes. One interesting thing about his stats, quad one games. He had 6 quad one games last year. Utah State, St. Mary's twice, Gonzaga twice, San Francisco, St. Mary's and Gonzaga top 20. He was 12 of 29 from three in those 6 games, 41.4%. In 4 quad 2 games against UC San Diego, Stanford, and San Francisco, as well as Santa Clara, he was 7 of 20 for 35%. And then against Arizona State, one of only 2 high majors he played, they were quad 3 last year, not a good team. He had 23 points on 5 of 12 from 3, 41.7%. In 11 games against that high-quality competition, 24 of 61 from 3, 39.3%. He shot 39.7% for the season. The rest of the way, he shot 39.8 aside from those games of 49 of 123. So super consistent throughout the season, held up against the best teams he played, averaged 7.7 3-point attempts per game and made 3.3. This is a huge addition for Rutgers, especially late in the cycle. The versatility he brings, not in his own skill set. He's specialized as a spot-up three-point shooter. He's a gunner. He hunts threes. But what he's going to be able to do for positional versatility with this team in terms of contingency plans, how he's utilized, whether it's off the bench as a starter. Defense obviously has questions, but in terms of, if certain starters are in foul trouble, if you want to go big, if you need a shooter down the stretch that you can rely on to be able to get you back in the game, he just gives you a very confident shooter that I think are going to be able to rely on, that's been in big spots, that Steve Pikiell can plug and play, and he's going to make everyone else around him better. Rutgers soon announcing this signing pretty much after PJ Hayes posted on social media late Wednesday afternoon. This is, end quote, Rutgers head coach Steve Pikiell. We're excited to officially welcome PJ Hayes to the knighthood. We are adding another great student athlete from a great family, could shoot the basketball. He's a player who's shown the ability to hit 9 3-pointers in a game. That happened last season, and can pass it as well. I love the basketball journey he's taking to our program, and proud to add another elite student to our program. Richie O'Leary also citing that I think he took a final today. So people were nervous that it hadn't heard anything, but logistics, they are student athletes. It takes time sometimes. He's going to enroll in summer school as well, so I had to figure that out. But his quotes just jump off the page here. Quote, I just know this team is going to be really good next year. I met a bunch of the guys that are really great. I think my shooting ability, I can really space the floor for them and know they'll find me when I'm open. I haven't played with a program that has this much talent coming in, but I think I can help make these guys better than they already are. I think I could shoot the lights out. You can expect every shot I shoot is with confidence, and I think it's going in every time. I think I could be sneaky and athletic, and I'm good at finding my teammates and making them better. I think I could bring energy the fans will love. On Rutgers, I could tell from the moment I got to New Jersey, this was a family. I just knew the coaches wanted what was best for me, and they were looking out for my future as well. Not a lot of coaches think about that. Coach Pikiell is looking out for me for the rest of my life, and this is the coach I want to play for. So some key stats to look at in terms of advanced statistics with Hayes that are notable. Effective field goal percentage on catch and shoots, 64%, 94th percentile nationally. That's huge. In terms of spot-up shots, 1.13 points per possession, 29% of the time, 82nd percentile nationally. He's a natural spot-up guy. You're going to get him the ball, and he's going to get threes off. And he has that kind of awareness. As I said, a lot of his shots did not come in wide open space. He's going to be more wide open playing for Rutgers than he was for San Diego in a very challenging West Coast conference. Not that the Big Ten isn't an up in competition, but with the talent on the floor, guys, the ability to penetrate like Dylan Harper, Jeremiah Williams, even Jordan Durkak's going to be able to do some of that. Ace Bailey, with a spot up guy with this size that can get his shot up over the defense and has that quick release, he's going to have plenty of opportunities to be a factor for this team. Whatever role he plays, Hayes is going to keep Rutgers in games. And I just think it was just a huge add in terms of transition. 71st percentile, 1.17 points per possession. As a trailer in the transition, he's going to be an asset. He can score off a ball screen, 78th percentile nationally. In terms of dribble handoffs, scoring 88th percentile. These are all things that Rutgers does and that they're going to need in this offense. He's comfortable doing it all. He's not, going to beat his man off the dribble that much and get into the rim. Foot speed defensively. I think this comes down to Steve Pikiell. It's funny because everyone's concerned about a center rim defender when all we've complained about for years is offense. And Rutgers finally has elite offensive talent coming in with Dylan Harper and Ace Bailey. And now you have two 38+% three-point shooters in Zach Martini from Princeton and now PJ Hayes, legit spot up three-point shooters with size that are going to add so much to this offense. You have Harper and Bailey are going to be able to shoot threes. And everybody forgets about Tyson Acuff. He shot 39% on 70 attempts at Duquesne as a sophomore. He shot 35% over 100 attempts his junior year. Last year, he only shot 32%, ton of attempts, high usage rate. He was the number one player on that team. In a different role, I really think, he didn't forget how to shoot. He's just going to have more better shot looks in terms of opportunities, space, things like that. They're going to have 5 guys that can knock down threes, multiple threes a game. And it's just going to do wonders for this offense. And yes, figuring out the defense is going to be key to the success of this team. But that's what Steve Peichel does. That's what he's always done best, is scheming defense. And guys like Hayes and Martini, although, foot speed wise, they might be a step slow in the Big Ten, they have length. They can be disruptive in passing lanes. And he could put them in spots that, just think about trapping on the press, to have guys like that with that kind of size that are going to be able to close down, in full court pressure. So I think that, again, positional versatility for this team, but adding a guy like Hayes that is just very, very consistent three-point shooter throughout his career, shooting at a very high level. That was, for me, a huge need for this team to fill out the roster. And to do it in late May, the dead period starting today, Memorial Day weekend coming up, teams reporting on June 15th. I think we're going to look back on this and realize how paramount this was to Rutgers having a good team next year. Because, again, nothing cures offense like three-point shooting. And he's going to be the best three-point shooter on your team. And maybe that's what he is primarily going to do. But, I've been talking about, like, the bench is super exciting. And they're going to have a ton of instant offense coming on. Again, anybody could start, anybody come off the bench. There's a lot of interchangeable parts here, but they're going to have guys that just know how to score, can shoot the rock, and it's going to give them unpredictability and make it harder on defenses to defend. Last thing on stats review, offensive rating was 116.5 last year, 344th nationally. Effective field goal percentage overall, 56.2, which was 229th nationally. True shooting percentage, 59.2, 228th. What those two stats mean is in combining twos and threes as one shooting percentage. So very high marks there. Low turnover rate, another theme we've seen with transfer portal additions. Martini and Acuff, 10.5%, 193rd nationally. Also, really good free throw shooter. Shot 79% from the free throw line last season for San Diego. 53 of 67 for 79.1%. Overall, last season for San Diego, 10.5 points, 3.1 rebounds, and assists. Listen, he is a guy that at this stage, a lot of teams were after. And I think there's probably bigger names after him than we even will know. But I just love his consistency. And again, I just love his ability to get his shot off from anywhere. He could shoot it from anywhere. And from a guy that, I grew up watching Donnell Lumpkin, one of the best three-point shooters in program history. I mean, he would shoot it from South Brunswick, where he was from at the rack. A lot of you probably remember Jerome Coleman, Ricky Shields, Quincy Doobie. I mean, these were legit three-point shooters that could shoot it from anywhere. And that's what PJ Hayes is. And they haven't had a guy like that in a long time. Cam Spencer, listen, had the sixth best three-point shooting percentage in a season for Rutgers in program history. But he was a gunner. He hunted threes, but he was 6'4". Lumpkin was 6'8". Doobie was a wiry 6'5". Shields was smaller. Coleman was smaller. But I just love guys with size and length that can just drill threes. And I'm super excited about this addition. And again, I talked about this before they added to the roster. They need hoopers. They need hoopers on this roster. And Hayes checks that box. Acuff checks that box. Durkak checks that box. Martini checks that box. You have two projected lottery picks coming in Dylan Harper and Ace Bailey. You have Lathan Somerville, who is a super confident guy that came up a guard, got big, can stretch the floor. I know people are concerned if it seems like he's going to be penciled in as a starter. He's obviously going to play big minutes at this point. Now, one thing I haven't talked about yet is Viktor Mikic, who Rutgers was linked to yesterday as making an offer, an under-the-radar kid that's kind of blowing up in the last couple of weeks. And since April, with his performance in AAU, plays for Ace Bailey's former AAU program, Athletes of Tomorrow. And this past weekend really showed out in a tournament in Indiana and has generated a ton of offers. A lot of mid-majors. Rutgers apparently the first high major to offer. But this kid has international experience. He's Serbian. He played for the U17 Serbian team in the FIBA 2022. Credit to Mike Broadbent and Richie O'Leary at the Night Report. They were talking in detail about him. He played against Team USA, a stacked roster. There's highlights of him. He blocked Cooper Flagg at one point. He had close to a double-double against them. He averaged a double-double in high school this past year in Tennessee. So there is that Ace Bailey, Jermichael Davis connection with him. And I just think that, he moves offensively really well. He's got to beef up. He's got to add some muscle and strength. And he's probably not a guy that's ready to play day one. But he's a contingency plan. And listen, Rutgers has not been in on the top centers in the NIL in the market. And NIL is a big reason why. But I know that people are skeptical, but I really think the staff believes in Lathan Somerville and Emmanuel Bole. And this is a team that's going to be fast-paced. They're going to run like hell. They're going to press a lot. They have a ton of guys that can handle the rock. Shooters, they have guys that can score in multiple ways. Yes, it's an unproven roster. None of these guys really have Big Ten experience. But the talent level is very high. And fitting these pieces together is going to be a big part of that. But I've always thought Steve Peichel, his ability to mix and match, to throw different looks at opponents on both ends of the court. I mean, he's going to have so many different combinations that he can plug and play in key spots based on situations. And I just really like the versatility and the potential of this team. And PJ Hayes, I really think, is going to be a big add for this team and what he can do. And just, listen, they have veteran guys to go with this youth movement. And let's not forget, I was talking about the 24 class coming in. Dylan Grant and Bryce Dorcher are legit recruits in their own right. And this team, top to bottom, deepest team Steve Beichel's had, most talented team, I think, top to bottom. This is, listen, you can't have everything. And would you like to have a really experienced frontline center that has high major experience and average a double-double? Sure. Was that Cliff? Yes. Did Cliff leave for big NIL? Yes. Was it realistic in him saying? No. So, you know what? I think that you have to applaud the staff for what they've done. And yes, they've had NIL limitations. And that's part of why I'm aligned and partnered with Knights of the Raritan, because we got to get the word out. All the Rutgers programs need help, but Rutgers basketball does too. And, I don't need to get into it here, but Dylan and Ace, a lot of their NIL, I think, is from the outside. And, their brand names, deals with Fanatics. Things are coming together. Can they add Mikic as that last roster spot, third big man? Jamie Vincent visited over the weekend, then visited Kentucky, previously visited South Carolina. 3-star big man in the 24 class, could add to the class that way. But there, we're coming down the stretch here of needing to fill out the roster. And Rutgers, you have to give them credit for exploring all options. And they've been resourceful. And I'm telling you, the timing on Hayes, I think, is a big thing in terms of how they jumped on him right away. The staff is prepared. They know what they need. And I think you have to give them the benefit of the doubt in that regard. And there are so many moving parts to this offense and to this team that it's impossible to know where the full potential is. Now, listen, yes, of course it could go wrong. Chemistry is everything. You're going to have to manage egos. This is going to be Steve Peichel's hardest job ever this season. But you have to have shooters. You can't teach shooting. We saw that last year. You have to have talent. And if you look at it this way, and we've looked at it the other way forever, that Rutgers has been elite defensively, and they can't score. And now all of a sudden you have all these scorers and shooters and offensive talent. Trust Steve Peichel to figure the defense out. And let's go. So PJ Hayes, Scarlet Knight, great news. Thought the way they handled this was excellent. And we wait on that 13th roster spot, but it's coming together. Rutgers men's basketball for the 24-25 season. I did a little short video. They're going to play Princeton instead of Arkansas. The non-conference is looking pretty good. And we'll talk about that soon. Some other Rutgers news I'll talk about tomorrow. But overall, it's a big day for the program. How the puzzle pieces are assembling on the board. Now it's up to the maestro, Steve Peichel, to make them all fit. Thank you for listening and watching to this edition of the Scarlet Faithful podcast, my rapid reaction. A few hours late, my kids, life beckons. Thank you for always tuning in. Appreciate it. Talk to you soon.